to my channel. It's Tamsin here at Beginners Quilting Hub. Welcome to the official week 2 of the sew along to make the Winterberry Lane quilt. Now, hopefully over the last week you have been working super hard on getting your first 5 of the mistletoe kiss blocks made. So I have finished 5 and I've actually started sewing another couple just to try and get a little bit ahead. But whether you're sewing along, watching along, or just, sewing at your own pace, hello and welcome. I hope you're enjoying the pattern. And I just wanted to say I have been absolutely blown away by the number of people that have invested in me, purchased the pattern and joined in the sew along. So whether you are joining in, whether you're just watching this to kind of see how everyone's getting on, thank you so much. And I can't tell you how much fun I am having actually sewing along with you guys, seeing my pattern come to life. It's quite an odd feeling actually. I've done blocks before, but I've never done a full quilt. I've sewn other people's quilts. I've done sew along for other people's quilt patterns, but I've never actually put myself out there, launched a quilt pattern and then see it come to life. And towards the end of the video, I'm going to show you lots of clips that people have sent me through social media, through YouTube, through my Facebook group, of their fabric choices, what they've been working on, and just a few comments and clips and things like that, just to give you a good flavour of what's been going on over here. Now, I am also roughly the same time as this video is going out, so this should be Sunday evening, internet going well. I'm also at the same time going to be putting a post in the Facebook group. I encourage you to go in, have a look at what everyone else is up to and add some photos, comments, whatever of your own in there. We are really enjoying seeing people's fabric pools. So even if you just take a picture of the fabric that you're using and put in, and I'm loving seeing some of these blocks coming to life. Lots of Christmas versions, I'm all for it. So this is mine. Obviously I showed you this in week 1 and I'm just having a lot of fun sewing these blocks up. I've got into a good rhythm with these now. There's definitely ways to batch sew these blocks. So something I know that lots of us struggle with is accuracy with our rotary cutter and ruler, because it's just such an unnatural way to, use your hands. Using one to hold something still and cutting with another with a rotary cutter. It can feel quite odd and weird to do that the first few times that you do it. And actually it's still a skill that I'm still honing now. It's something we can build on over the years, when we're using different kit, different notions, different fabrics. So there's a couple of things that I do that really help me when I'm using my rotary cutter. So I'm going to zip us over to my left and we're going to set up on my cutting table. And I'm going to give you 3 little things that you could potentially do just to kind of help you along your way. And then we're going to skip to the end and I'm going to show you clips of what everyone else is working on. So let's do that now. I've got a couple of things to show you. Now, the first thing I was going to show you, and this is something that comes as standard with the Creative Grids rulers, are these kind of anti-slip dots that are already on the backs of their rulers. I'm pretty sure they put them on all of them. I've recently bought one of the much larger rulers and they're on these as well. Actually, when you place the ruler onto fabric, it just gives it a little bit more stability than if it was just, an acrylic ruler sliding everywhere. So that's the first thing. If you're investing in some brand new rulers, I would highly recommend having a look at the Creative Grids. So that's the first thing that might help. So the Creative Grids rulers with the kind of added anti-slip dots on the back, and I'm sure that there are other brands that do this as well. I tend to stick with Creative Grids and Fiskars. Creative Grids do them, Fiskars rulers don't tend to. So that's the first thing. Now you can of course purchase something to do this for you, and these are something that I found quite recently and I've actually added them to some of my templates. I'm trying to see if I've got one in here that I've added them to. Possibly not yet, as I haven't used these, but basically these are called True Grips. They're by True Cut, and again there's other companies that do these. The company is called Grace Company, and I'll see if I can find these online and pop a link to them. And you get 15 little dots, 15 small, and then you've got the little ones inside, so they come off like this. So you get the little dot and it's got a hole in the middle, and then you can also then use the little dot to put onto smaller templates and things like these. I'm just going to stick this back on because I don't want it to lose its stick. But these do the same job as the kind of Creative Grids anti-slip bits, but actually I find these even better. So if I just show you, so all I do with my rulers is I just dot them along. So this is my Fiskars ruler. This is a 24-inch ruler. So I've put one here, and one here. So 3. And that's only really because you might only be using a part of the ruler. So it's just to keep it in place. But if I show you the difference, so this is my creative grids, and yes, it does give it some friction. It's definitely better than nothing, but I can still quite easily slide it about. If I, however, show you this ruler, it's so much more difficult to slide it when you're putting pressure on. Obviously, if there's no pressure, it slips and slides. But if I'm putting pressure like I would normally do holding my ruler, it's much more difficult to move it. So I actually think, you know, you could do both. You could actually have this and add some extra stickers on, but there's a couple of options there, and I'm really enjoying using these True Grips. They're called non-slip adhesive rings. So well worth the investment. There's enough in there to do a good set of rulers and templates. And I actually store mine in my little bag with all my templates so that I know where they are, because all of my rulers have now been done. So the next things to do will be all of my acrylic templates as and when I come to use them. Now, the other little tip, and this is what I call the pinky tip, and I have shared this before on my social media channel, but I don't know, it's just something that I've always done. I have no idea where I learned it. No doubt another quilter taught me, so I'm passing that on to you now. And that is called, well, what I call the pinky trick. So you're cutting a piece of fabric, and this kind of works with any ruler, any size fabric, but it's kind of extra specially helpful when you're cutting a big piece of yardage, which you may well be doing with the Winterberry Lane quilt. And that is actually to, so I'm just going to line my ruler up. I'm not going to cut because this is actually the fabric that I'm using for my quilt, so I don't want to cut into it, but I'm going to show you. So I've got it lined up, and I'm going to put my hand as wide as I possibly can on my ruler. That's always a good rule of thumb. And I'm going to start cutting from here, and I'm going to go halfway, and then I'm going to walk my hand up and cut the second part of the ruler, the second part of the fabric using the ruler. So that's how I would cut my fabric with one of the longer rulers. But there's an extra little step that you can do that will give you just that little bit more. So you've already got either your pre-sticky dots on, or you've added some sticky dots. Now, spread your hand, and with your little pinky, just lock it in at the side. It feels weird to start with, but trust me, it's such a good thing to do. And now my little finger automatically does that as soon as I get my ruler like in a position like this. So I'm going to cut, and what I'm doing with my pinky is I'm just slightly pushing down slightly to the right. So this hand is automatically going to kind of push to the left, because that's just naturally what your hand will do. And this pinky just counteracts that and also stops your ruler from sliding to the left. So if you cut like this and you start cutting, you might sometimes find that your ruler drifts because you may sort of be pushing this way. But to stop that, you could put your pinky there, and then when you push against it, you're almost pushing back by using your little pinky. And as you're cutting, that's doing some of the lifting and keeping the ruler in place. So that's something for you to try this week, especially if you've been finding that when you're cutting, your pieces aren't completely as accurate as you hope they would be, or if that awful thing happens where you cut and then you go to make a nice straight long cut, and suddenly you find your ruler slipping and you end up with a piece that's a wonky shape. So add your pinky, work halfway, second half, and see how you get on with that. But I highly recommend giving that a go. If you don't already do it, or if you haven't tried it before, give it a go and let me know what you think. I'm calling it the pinky trick, but if you can think of a better name, I'm all for changing the name. So there's a couple of things for you to try this week to just help with a little bit of rotary cutting accuracy, and I think it's worth trying them out to see which one you prefer. I hope you found that helpful. I love sharing little tips with you guys that I've picked up over the years. Half the time I have no idea where I learnt them from, but, you know, we pick things up, don't we? And I will always do my best to share them with you. But I think that tip, the pinky tip, is one of my favourites. It's one of my favourite little tricks that I do. And I do it so often now, I don't even really think about it. But it's something that I encourage you to have a go at. So for the coming week, we're going to aim to sew another 5 mistletoe kiss blocks. You can practice with that rotary cutting tip. And you may also consider investing in a new ruler if you think that's what you need, or the dots. And I actually think if you've got an existing ruler that you're using, the dots is probably a much better option and a cheaper option, and actually will give you really good results as well. I hope you've all enjoyed sewing along. And I'm now going to head over to the Facebook group and I'm going to go and pop some pictures in there that I've been sent, some pictures that I've taken, and yeah, get ready to sew the next 5. So if you've got any thoughts, comments, questions, drop them in the comments box below. I'm going to be on and around here for the next couple of hours. I do try and answer every single comment and question that anyone puts onto my YouTube channel, because I just appreciate every single one of you tuning in, watching me, and then spending the time and energy to actually put a comment. So I really do appreciate that. And it also helps my channel be pushed out to more quilters. We can get even more people into this amazing quilting community. So if you've enjoyed this video and you're interested in seeing what everyone else is working on, head to the Facebook group. I'll pop the link in the description box below. Come and join. It's a free group. It's a very, very busy group, a fun group. And I will see you in next Sunday's video, which will be week 3, and we're going to be looking at sewing a couple more, and I'm going to have some pressing tips for you next week. And I also was going to mention, I don't know if you can really see, let me just turn the camera slightly. We've had a bit of a shuffle around in here. Can you see I'm sitting? Can you see I'm sitting in a completely different place? We've had a complete shuffle around. So in this week's Quilt Tube, which will go out on Wednesday evening, I'm going to give you a little tour. It's still a bit of a work in progress, I think, because I want a little bit more kind of shelving and things in here. But I'm really liking sitting at a bigger table. I was using the table behind me. Let's get my lefts and right. This one here. So where this star was, that folds down into a table. And I was using that for sewing. But it's actually the smallest space that I had in here. So I've moved now to the biggest table, which means I can have my iron, some cutting, and my sewing machine all in front of me. And I think that's going to be a game changer. But I can fill you in on all of that on Wednesday evening, because I need to film that first. But let's concentrate on the sew along and get to it and sew those next 5 blocks, and I'll see you in the next video. See you soon.